Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our first little Romsey signal box unboxing video. That's a double box going on there. We're obviously doing a lot of work behind the scenes to develop stuff and bring you new exhibits, but no one can visit at the moment. We recently acquired a new little toy to play with, and I thought that you might like to join me for the opening of it, the exploration of it, and discovering sort of how it works. So this arrived just the other day, and I've been excited to show you what's been going on here, so let's crack on. Now, you may not recognise it at first, but we're going to go into a bit of detail on the how it's working inside, and then I'll set it up and make it work as it should do. So let's get this out. Here it is. Hopefully that's in shot. And here is the bit of paper that comes with it. There we go, get rid of the packaging, nobody cares about that anymore. So, what do we have here? Well, this, for those who don't know, is what we call an AWS Sunflower unit. And it's actually a device that goes in the cab of a train. And it's a warning system. AWS, did I say automatic warning system? I'm going to say it again, automatic warning system. And it draws the driver's attention to the signals outside. It's not a form of in-cab signalling as such. As the name suggests, it's just a warning system. And this is just looks like a black disc at the moment. You might be able to see the little segments in here. Those segments will go yellow when it enters the warning stage to the driver. And as I said, I'll rig it up to make it work exactly as it should do once we've had a look inside. Now this bit of paper, very handily, tells us all of the connections on the back. So if I flip it over, what you might be able to see along here are the pins on the back. Lighting's not brilliant, I'm afraid. And each of these pins does something different. So here it says positive pulse to turn it black to yellow, with 2 being the negative. So that would make those segments go yellow to give them, put it into that warning state. And then 3, 12 volts to turn it from yellow to black. So it looks like it's mostly happening on these 2 pins here, 3 pins, sorry, here. We've also got these separate status switches, and I'm presuming that because it's just a pulse to turn it from one to the other, the system will need some sort of feedback. So this obviously tells it if the unit has responded as commanded. There's a lot more information here, but I think that we've got enough information there to give it its first try. So I'm going to connect it up. I've got some crocodile clips over here to connect it up with. So we're going to go 2 for negative. 2 is negative, we'll go white. You might think that's a bit of an odd colour, but what I'm then going to do is going to go 1 yellow to turn it yellow, and 3 black to turn it black. Yeah, I've got some very handy bits of wood here already set up, so that I can flip it over and we can marvel in the glory of it working, he said with great optimism. So I've already, you might not be able to see it along the back here, you can just see it. I've got my power supply and I've got some buttons rigged up, actually some relays with clickable tops set up, and a bit of wire here with which to connect it to. So if we put yellow on that one, and then we put black on that one, and I'll run this one around the back over to here. Hopefully when I push this button over here, this one, it should change to yellow. Fingers crossed, everyone. Hooray! And there you can see it in that yellow warning state. And if I push this one, it goes back to black. Brilliant. And you might be able to see now why it's gained the name Sunflower. It's two-tone yellow, a bright yellow with a pale yellow, and this black pattern as well. And as I said, now it's in that warning state, and that's it, all clear. So let's have a look inside, because I really want to know what's actually going on in here. Let's disconnect all of those, get those out of the way. We don't want those to distract us for the meantime. Hopefully that's all clear. Now I'm going to try and stay in shot here. No idea what's going to happen. And I apologise sincerely if I wander off, but I shall edit it and try and remove it. So let's take this back panel off first. It looks like it's just these 4 screws here. 3 and there we we go. Hey, yes, it looks like it has some sort of plug that it couples into along the back here. So we're going to need to do something else for that because we don't have this. But it mounts onto a unit within the loco cab, presumably, or engine train cab. Typically, I've not quite undone all of those. There we go. No, well, that hasn't revealed much. I can see 2 coils and the contacts. I think what I need to do is take these 4 off the bottom of here. Talk quietly amongst yourselves, ladies and gentlemen, while we take this apart. I must say, I'm quite surprised at the size of it. I did think it was going to be quite a smaller unit, but it's actually quite large. So that was the first shot, and also, secondly, just how good quality the outside is. It's really nicely done. I don't know if it was painted. This was an eBay purchase. Thank you, eBay. And we're hoping, because this is a key development in railway signalling, that we can make a display of it and demonstrate how it works. I've got some spring washers coming out here. I'll put those aside to lose them later. Right. Here we go. So, moment of truth. Oh, it's coming loose. Aha! Right, so there's the case, and here is the unit that sits inside of it. So, this looks like where the action sort of happens. So what have we got? I don't know if you can see, the lighting's not brilliant, I guess. These look like the switch contacts back here. So just back, if I push back here, I can manually manipulate this back disc behind here. I see. So these coils are obviously doing that. It looks like, and feels like, yeah, it magnetically latches in one place, and then the solenoids energize, these little solenoid coils back here, to overcome that magnetic latch, and then it latches magnetically in the other position. I didn't mention it, by the way, but this is going to be a bit more of a technical, geeky video compared to some of our less intense visitor videos, maybe. So it looks like along the back here, yeah, I don't know if you can see, you probably can't, and I can't get my fingers in there at the same time. Those switches are moving to make and break as I'm turning it. I wonder what's going on under the front here. I might take this off. See how easily this comes off. Yeah, hopefully I don't wreck it doing this. No, I have full confidence I'll be able to get it back together. Also, that's the good thing about having a video, is if I did take it apart, couldn't remember how to get it back together, I'd just watch the video back and we could go from there. I'm doing this screw left-handed very cleverly. Right, here we go. So, it's a bit stiff. Have I missed a screw anywhere? No, I don't think so. It's oh, there we go. It's coming off. Right. Oh, it's one disc. Let's see. It's a bit rusty in the middle there. I don't know if you can see that. We might need a touch of something to stop that rusting any further. For some reason, I thought that it was a plain yellow disc behind, and then there were black segments that moved on top of it, but it doesn't look like that. It's the whole disc is moving. Let's see. Oh, well, that's slightly less eventful than I thought it was going to be. Yeah. Right, I'll put this cover back on. I will fire it up again with the cover off. Which way around does this go? I think it goes this way around. It's a bit tight. How does that look? How does it feel? Is it rubbing? Doesn't sound like it's rubbing. Do the holes line up? They do now. Yeah, that feels about right. Right, I'll get these screws back in. So hopefully this will form part of our new education building. If you haven't been following, we've been slowly but surely developing a whole building with educational exhibits in it. This will probably form part of it in one way or another, to give people a bit of an idea about how this quite advanced system works. Oh dear, I don't want to cross the thread, Jamie. Let's not do that. There we go. Yeah, so this is the first one of these that we've done. I might have to, if people like it, to go out and find some other things to take apart and have a look at. I've got a block instrument next door that I could show you the insides of, I suppose, if this really takes off, but I don't really think it's as exciting as me opening up and learning about what's going on inside. That's not going to stay there, so I'll just hold it with one hand. I'll stop it back together with the other. Here we go. Yes, I have to see if I can find some brass and just give that a little bit of a polish up. The brass on the outside should come up quite nicely on that. So I'll show you it working again with the cover off. I don't know if there'll be much to see really. And then I shall go away and put together some electronics. Program up probably an Arduino. Arduino is my go-to little programmable electronics. To pretend to be the rest of the AWS system, and you can see it working because it'll have some sound effects. They had a bell and a horn in the cab to go with it, and a little model signal or some sort of stand-in for such like to show you it working. I'll try not to shorten it together. Right, make sure those are all separate. So if I do it now, we should get it go black. Jamie's managed to break it in the meantime. Stand by, ladies and gentlemen. What haven't I done? It normally means I haven't connected something quite right. The cover might be a bit tight. No. I've connected it to the wrong pins. Well done me, just shorting out my power supply. I had you for a moment there, didn't you? Didn't I? I thought you all thought at home I had broken it. Let's try again. Now maybe I have broken it. No, he says. I've got them the wrong way around. There we go. So yeah, I'm pushing the wrong button on my little selector switches over here. There we go. So I'll show you up here whether or not that's going to actually work. The light's over here, rather annoyingly. You can see that switch contact moving just here to provide that feedback. And I reckon that if I put the voltmeter across there, I'd be able to get a continuity test and see it conduct made in one position and broken in the other. So overall, that's really good. Looking at it like this, I think the way that I might do it is make some crimps up to go on here, long term that is, not right now. Make some crimped wires on here rather than trying to interface with these rather purpose-built connectors along the back, which obviously, as I said, plug into the train cab, something in the train cab. Yeah, other than that, that looks like the back of the spindle. There's a few little points that look a little bit corroded, which I'd like to address before putting it into service. Other than that, I'm really pleased with how well it's working. And this is so beautifully painted, I thought that there might be some restoration work to do. But I think I'm going to get away with just doing the electronics. So I shall bolt this all back together. I shall spend a little bit of time designing these electronics, programming up the Arduino, and then we can come back and I'll show you how it works. I've got some diagrams to show you to hopefully put it into perspective as to how this system works. So you will see me in just a second, but for me it will probably be an hour or so. Right everyone, back again. I've done my little bit of wiring. You might have noticed something has appeared here. This plunge has appeared. A bit more light. I've put another light over here. It's got darker outside and there's a window just there, so I've had to add a bit more light. We'll see how it goes. And you're going to have to put up with my rather improvised hand drawings, I'm afraid, because our printers ran out of ink and I didn't think you'd appreciated a half printed diagram. So, automatic warning system. It was a system to warn the drivers of an upcoming signal, and was typically fitted on the approach to your distance signal. Sorry about the colour of this yellow, it's not very nice. The distance signal can display yellow or green. Yellow means caution, proceed at caution. The next signal is probably going to be at red, and green for carry on. The signals following this are already at green. So a train can't just stop dead. It needs a lot of or an amount of an advanced warning. So this distance signal, you can imagine that if this signal's at red, is very important that the driver sees it, because he needs to start braking when he passes this signal. It's positioned far enough away that he'll have time to stop passing this at yellow to stop at red here. So we need to ensure that that driver is paying attention, he's seen it at yellow and he's starting to brake. And that is where this AWS system comes in. What we do is we put a device in the middle of the track, somewhere about here. It's normally about 180 meters before the driver gets to the signal. And it's comprised of two magnets. So if I just change to the slide. This is a side-on view, so the train will be travelling over the top like this. And it consists of two separate magnets, a permanent magnet and an electromagnet. Now, a permanent magnet, as I'm sure you'll appreciate, has got a magnetic field around it, just like any other magnet that you may have seen. But over here, following, we have an electromagnet, and that uses electricity to generate a magnetic field, so it can be turned on and off. So as the train passes over this, there's a sensor on the bottom of it, and it's going to detect these magnets. The permanent one is a south pole and the electro one is a north pole. You know how magnets have north and south, and that's how it differentiates between the two magnets as the train travels over it. We call it a ramp because we normally make sure that the edges are nicely ramped, and that means that anything dangling down underneath the train doesn't get caught and yank the equipment off of its boltings to the sleepers on the track. It just generally rides up and then rides down again. It just makes it look a bit nicer as well. And that's where it gets its name. It's called an AWS ramp quite often. So let's actually look at the scenario. So we have two scenarios here. We have a situation where the stop signal is at red, the distance signal is at yellow, to warn the driver about that. Or we have a situation where we've got the stop signal at green and the distance signal at green. Let's first examine this situation here. So when the train's coming up to this signal, hopefully you can see all of that, yes you can, this signal is at yellow. The driver needs to do something now. He needs to be brought, his attention needs to be brought to this fact that this is at yellow. He needs to stop at the next signal. So these magnets, the state is the permanent one, well that's always putting out this south magnetic field. And what happens is that when this is at yellow, we turn off the electromagnet. So as the train travels over it, it's going to see the permanent magnet. But it's not going to see this electromagnet. And what it's going to do is it's going to alert the driver to this fact. And he'll hear a sound in his cab called a horn. And then this is when the AWS will turn yellow when he acknowledges that horn. And that's what this plunger is for. It looks a bit like this. It's not quite like it. This is actually a bit from a signal box. But he'll press the plunger. And that confirms that he's seen the signal at yellow. And the reminder is that this turns to that yellow sunflower colour. Now you may ask, why was it yellow? Well, a distant arm, which is or distant signal, semaphore, where these were first fitted, was black and yellow. And that's where the black and yellow stripes of this sunflower come from. Now in the instance where we've got the stop signal at green, the distance signal is at green, what happens this time is we energise the electromagnet. So now when the train travels over it, will see the south pole, the permanent magnet, and then it will see the north pole of the electromagnet. And the AWS system will then realise, okay, the signal's at green. The driver doesn't need to do anything anymore. You know, he hasn't got to start braking, well, unless he's stopping at a station, but that's out of the equation. He doesn't need to start braking. There's nothing really for him to do at this stage. So what happens instead is we get a bell noise in the cab. He'll hear it ring. He hasn't got to press the plunger this time. And what will happen is that this will go back to black because he's got green signals, nothing for him to do. All is good and well in the world. So the electronics that I've set up hopefully will mirror this setup. Now, I did have to go and find a horn, and initially I found this one, and as you can see it was quite loud. I stuffed some foam down the end of it, but it was just drawing so much current and being too loud that I quickly got rid of that idea. And I'm afraid you're going to have to put it with a piddly little buzzer, but the bell is pretty good. You should be able to hear that. So if you look in the corner of your screen over here, you might just be able to make out these LEDs. If I turn this off, you'll definitely be able to see that. That is meant to be yellow, by the way. So we're coming up with this situation here. And what I've got is I've got a button here that I can press that pretends that the train is about to travel over the AWS ramp, which I've just very cleverly hidden. So in this situation, we've got the permanent magnet and no electromagnet. I'm going to press this button, and what you'll hear is you'll hear a buzzer start to sound. I'm not going to say anything because I can't fight over the top of it. And then after a few seconds, I'll press this plunger here. So let's do that now. So I'm going to press this button, which simulates the train coming over the top of this magnet. There you go. So that was the buzzer saying, driver, pay attention, you're coming up to a yellow signal. The driver presses the button, and at that stage, only when he presses the button and the buzzer stops does it come to this yellow situation here. So every time the driver comes up to another yellow signal now, or anything not showing green is the way that this works. So if it was a red signal, if it was fitted to that, he'll again get this buzzer. So I'll do it again now. I'll press this button to simulate the driver going over another permanent magnet, no electromagnet. There we go. Goes back to black while the buzzer's sounding because the driver needs to confirm it and press the button. And you may ask, what does he do? What happens if he doesn't press that plunger? Well, if the driver doesn't start doing something, he could be unconscious. You know, we're coming to a dangerous situation because we're approaching a yellow signal. Chances are the next one's at red. We need to start to stop this train. So after 3 seconds, the AWS system will actually intervene on behalf of the driver. It will start to apply the brakes and the train will be brought to a stand. So it's not in-cab signalling. It's not driving the train for the driver. It's just a warning system on top of the signals that are out there. So the last thing is that when the driver's approaching this signals with greens all the way through, I shall do that, change this signal to green. There we go. You probably still can't see that. It's probably a bit dim. There you go. You can see the green quite clearly there. Driver's now approaching a green signal. So this time he'll go over the permanent magnet and the electromagnet will be energized. So the train will see this south-north pattern that it's looking for. And what will happen this time is, as I've said, nothing for him to do. You'll hear the bell, and then it will clear itself out, and that's it, and it's ready for the next one. So I shall press the button now to simulate the train coming over. There you go. And the indicator has gone back to the black, the clear configuration because there's no reminder needed for the driver. He's got green signals, and it's full steam ahead, for want of a better term. And that's it. This system will sit here all day doing those things, ringing the bell, sounding the buzzer. I won't do that again until it comes up to a yellow signal. And that pretty much sums up this AWS system. We have got an AWS ramp installed by our distance signal at Romsey. If I'm clever enough, I'll show you a quick photo of that now. So you can see what this configuration looks like. I think we've only got the electromagnet. We're waiting to either find one or build a sort of a mock-up of a permanent magnet. Yeah, and that's it. So hopefully this will go into a display in our education building. We'll need to find a replacement plunger. We can't really use this one from a signal box. So if you've got an AWS confirmation plunger in your collection and feel that you'd like to donate it to a good cause or don't want it anymore, please get in touch through this Facebook page, either email us, you can find out details on that on our website. And because we'd love to be able to install it with this little setup that we're going to configure. So thank you very much for watching. If you've got any questions, put them in the comments below. We'll try and keep you updated as much as we can. We're obviously shut at the moment because of the pandemic. And we shall be waiting to hear what happens as they announce easing of the lockdown, and we shall let you know as soon as we've decided if we are going to open and when we're going to open. But thank you very much, and we'll see you next time for another hopefully interesting video.